It was Tuesday morning in the Fulton County Family Court, the day Judge Randall said he would announce the final ruling. I sat in the hallway holding my belly with both hands, 7 months pregnant with twins, praying the judge would see through Mason's lies. He didn't. When the courtroom doors opened, the judge barely looked at me. He just said, "Custody goes to the father, effective immediately upon birth." My heart dropped. Everything inside me went cold. I didn't even hear the rest, just the echoes of people gathering their files while Mason smirked like he had won a trophy. Not custody of 2 unborn babies. Outside the courthouse, the humidity wrapped around me like a punishment. I kept a hand under my stomach, whispering to the twins, "I'm so sorry, I tried." I had no job, no money, no lawyer strong enough to fight Mason's influence. My last option was impossible to say out loud, but I thought it, over and over. If I give birth, he will take them. If I don't, he never will. The thought nearly crushed me, but it also pushed me into a taxi. "Riverside Women's Clinic," I whispered. The driver nodded and pulled into traffic. I pressed my palm gently against the harder-kicking twin, the fighter one. "I'm sorry," I whispered again. I wasn't choosing this. I was cornered into it. 10 minutes into the ride, the taxi jerked. Hard. The driver glanced at the mirror. "Ma'am, I don't want to scare you, but that black SUV behind us? It's been following since we left the courthouse." Everything inside me froze. I turned. Just enough to see. It was Mason's SUV. Expensive. Dark. Shiny. Deadly. My phone buzzed. "Mason. Where do you think you're going?" Another. "Turn around." Another. "Now." I covered my mouth. The driver whispered, "Is that him?" I nodded. A single tear fell. "Want me to lose him?" the driver asked. I shook my head too fast. "No, if he thinks I'm hiding anything." The driver cut me off. "He already does." He turned suddenly. The SUV turned too. He merged left. The SUV merged left. He slowed. The SUV slowed. "He's glued to us," the driver whispered. My heart pounded so hard, the twins kicked in panic. "I can't let him take them," I whispered. "I can't let him raise them." The driver looked at me through the mirror. "You need help from someone he's afraid of." My lungs froze. There was only one person Mason feared. My brother, the man Mason had banned me from contacting. The man he said was dangerous. The man he never spoke about unless forced. My brother, Lucas. Hands shaking, I unlocked my phone, dialed the number I hadn't touched in 4 years. It rang twice. Then his voice came through, clear, steady, alert. "I know. I'm already behind him." I twisted in my seat, and there it was. A dark blue SUV behind Mason's. Lucas's SUV. My throat tightened. He said, "Stay in the taxi. Don't get out. I'm not letting him take you." The driver muttered, "Well, this just became a convoy." Ahead of us, Mason's SUV pulled closer. His window came down. He yelled at the taxi driver, "Pull over!" The driver responded calmly, "Sir, she's pregnant. Back off." Mason's eyes snapped to mine. "You are not going to that clinic," he hissed. "Get out of that car." I shook my head. He slammed his fist against the door. "Get out!" Behind him, Lucas honked once. Loud, deep, threatening. Mason flinched and turned. Lucas rolled down his window, expression carved from stone. "Move," Lucas said. Mason's lip curled. "You're not allowed near her." Lucas smirked. "I go where she needs me." The light turned green, but no one moved. Cars honked behind us. Heat shimmered off the asphalt. Mason leaned toward me again. "You step foot in that clinic," he whispered, "and you'll never see those babies." I choked on air. Lucas shouted, "Don't listen to him." Mason pointed at me like I was prey. "The court already ruled in my favor. You have nothing." His voice sharpened. "If you walk away now, I will win everything." Lucas slammed his door open. He stepped onto the road. People on the sidewalk stopped to watch. Mason opened his door too. Lucas got right in his face. "You forged evidence. You stalked her. You drove her into a panic attack. And you still think you're winning?" Mason's jaw twitched. "You're jealous," he spat. "You always were." Lucas didn't react. He just stepped closer. "You hurt my sister. And you think you're walking away?" The tension snapped like glass. Then, a stabbing pain ripped through my stomach. Sharp. Fast. Wrong. "Lucas," I gasped. "Something's wrong." He spun around instantly. "Sis?" Blood. Warm. Rushing down my thighs. Mason's face went pale. "Oh my God," Lucas yelled. "She's bleeding." The taxi driver screamed, "Ambulance! Call an ambulance!" Mason froze in the middle of the street. Lucas caught me as I collapsed. Cars honked. People screamed. My vision blurred. I whispered, "My babies, please, don't let anything happen to them." Lucas held me against him, voice cracking. "I won't, I promise. I won't let anyone take them." Sirens wailed. The world tilted, and everything went black. I woke up to the sound of machines. Soft beeping, hissing oxygen, muffled voices. My eyelids felt heavy, like someone had placed weights on them. When I finally managed to open them, everything was blurry at first. The ceiling lights, the curtain rail, the white walls. Then a shape came into focus. A man sitting in a chair beside my bed, elbows on his knees, head bowed. My brother, Lucas. He looked like he hadn't moved for hours. When he realized I was awake, he stood so fast the chair slid back and hit the wall. "Hey," he whispered, leaning over me. "You scared me, sis." My throat felt dry, sandpaper raw. "The babies," I croaked. He shook his head quickly. "They're alive. In the NICU. Early but stable." Tears flooded my eyes. I didn't care about the pain. I didn't care about the needles in my arms. All I needed to know was that my babies were alive. What happened?" I whispered. Lucas sat on the edge of the bed. "You lost a lot of blood," he said. "There was a placental abruption. They had to take the twins early through emergency surgery." My hand trembled against the blanket. "And Mason?" A dark shadow crossed Lucas's face. "He's barred from this floor. Security removed him." My stomach twisted. "Why? What did he do?" Lucas exhaled. "He followed the ambulance. He tried to push into the ER. He screamed at the nurses. And when the NICU staff refused to let him near the babies, he lost it." I felt a chill crawl up my spine. "He said he had custody," Lucas continued. "He tried to force the staff to hand the babies to him." My breath hitched. "And?" Lucas shook his head. "The hospital demanded proof. All he had was a screenshot of the judge's old ruling. Old ruling. Past tense." "What do you mean, old ruling?" I whispered. Before Lucas could answer, the door slid open. Dr. Reyes walked in, still in scrubs, tired but steady, the kind of woman whose presence fills a room without trying. "Good," she said softly. "You're awake." I licked my dry lips. "Please tell me the truth," I whispered. Did I do something wrong? Is this my fault?" Both of them froze. Then Lucas said firmly, "No, none of this is your fault. You hear me? None of it." Dr. Reyes nodded. "You did everything right. Everything. The emergency was caused by stress and trauma, not by anything you did." I swallowed hard. I thought I was going to lose them. "You didn't," she said. "And you won't." Her voice had that tone again. The tone she had when she shouted at Mason in the ER. Protective. Sharp. Certain. She pulled up a chair. "There's something we need to go over," she said gently. "About your medical file." Fear tightened my throat. "My file?" Lucas nodded. "You remember how Mason convinced the judge you were mentally unstable, that you skipped appointments, that you were a risk to the babies?" I nodded slowly. "That's why he won custody," I whispered. "Because he proved I was unfit." Dr. Reyes leaned forward. "No," she said softly. "He didn't prove anything, because none of it was true." I blinked at her. "What do you mean?" She reached into her folder and placed a stack of papers on my blanket. "Your real medical file." My breath caught. Real, meaning the court had seen. "There were 2 files," she explained. "The authentic one and the fake one your husband submitted." The room tilted. Fake file. My hands shook as I picked up the first page. Every appointment I attended was logged. Every ultrasound. Every healthy checkup. Every note from Dr. Reyes confirming the twins were growing perfectly. Tears blurred the words. "This," I whispered. "This is the truth." Lucas nodded. "And this," he said, pulling out another paper, "is the one Mason gave the court. The forged file, missed appointments, refused treatments, notes claiming I was suicidal, sketchy initials from a nurse who retired years ago. It was a horror movie script written about me. Why would he do this?" I whispered, voice breaking. "Why would he try to make me look sick?" Dr. Reyes sighed. "Mason wasn't just trying to win custody. He was trying to erase any chance you had to fight back." I covered my mouth. "But how did the court not see this? How didn't my lawyer?" Lucas squeezed my hand. "Because Mason paid someone at the courthouse to fast-track the forged documents." My heart cracked. "He set you up from the beginning," Lucas said. "He planned everything." Tears streamed down my cheeks. All the nights I thought I was crazy. All the days I felt the world closing around me. All the moments I wondered if maybe I was unstable. It was him. Every piece of it. Dr. Reyes continued. "When you were in surgery, I submitted the real file and a formal statement about the forgery." I blinked. You did that? For me?" She nodded softly. "You were fighting for your life. Someone had to fight for your rights." Lucas let out a breath. "And the judge signed an emergency reversal order." I stared. "Reversal?" Lucas nodded. "The custody ruling is suspended. You have full maternal rights until a new hearing." My breath stuttered. "So, he can't take them?" "Not anymore," Lucas said. "He lost everything the moment you went into surgery." I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. The sound came from somewhere deep, somewhere wounded, somewhere tired of being scared. Lucas pulled me into his arms gently. "You're safe," he whispered. "They're safe." Dr. Reyes let us have that moment. But then she cleared her throat, her expression changing slightly. "There is one more thing," she said carefully. "Something you need to know before the next court date." My stomach tightened again. "What? What is it?" I whispered. She hesitated. Lucas stiffened like he already knew. Dr. Reyes finally spoke. "In the operating room, we ran emergency genetic tests on the twins." A cold wave washed over me. "Why?" I whispered. She exhaled slowly. "Because their blood type didn't match Mason's." I froze. "And because," she continued, "there are markers in their DNA that only match one other immediate relative in your family." I stared at her. No, that's not possible. I didn't." Lucas stood up and turned away, pressing his hand to his mouth. Dr. Reyes gently placed her hand on mine. "The twins' biological father is not Mason," she said softly. I felt the floor vanish beneath me. "Sis," Lucas whispered. He turned to me with tears in his eyes. And he said the words that shattered everything I thought I knew. "It's me." My entire body went cold. I stared at Dr. Reyes, waiting for her to take the words back, to explain them differently, to fix the reality that had just shattered around me. But she didn't. She held my gaze with a soft, steady sadness. "The twins' DNA," she said gently, "does not match Mason at all." My voice trembled. "But how?" "We were trying for months. He said everything was fine. He told me the problem was me." Lucas placed a hand on my shoulder. "Sis," Mason lied. "No, not lied. Built his entire identity on the lie." My chest tightened. "He told me he was tested," I whispered. "He said his results were normal." Dr. Reyes exhaled. "They were not normal. They were impossible." I blinked. "What does that mean?" She exchanged a heavy glance with Lucas. Then she told me the truth that ripped the floor from under me. "Mason is sterile." The world froze. "What?" I whispered. "Sterile," she repeated. "He has been for years. A condition he's known about since he was 20. My hands trembled against the blanket. No. He would have told me. He would have said something." Lucas shook his head. "He didn't tell you because he wasn't planning a marriage. He was planning an image, a wife, a house, and children he could raise as props." I choked back a sob. Everything I thought I knew, every memory, every attempt at a family, was fake. "Fabricated?" Dr. Reyes continued gently. "When he realized natural conception was impossible, he didn't accept it. He didn't grieve it. He didn't seek counseling. She paused. He sought control. A tear slid down my cheek. What does that mean? She took a breath. Sis, Lucas said quietly. You remember last year when Mason insisted you both do a fertility evaluation? Yes, I whispered. The clinic visit. He said it was routine. It wasn't routine, Lucas said. It was the setup. I stared at him, shaking. What setup? Lucas handed me a paper. This is the lab report Dr. Reyes pulled, the one Mason hoped no one would ever find. My eyes scanned the page. Numbers I didn't understand. Words like non-viable sample, azoospermia, no measurable motility. Mason didn't just have trouble conceiving. He couldn't conceive. Ever. I covered my mouth. My babies kicked, reacting to my panic. Dr. Reyes kept going. During that evaluation, Mason insisted the two of you try an advanced fertility protocol, but the truth is, he never intended to use his own genetic material. I looked up sharply. What did he use then? Dr. Reyes hesitated, then said the words slowly, clearly, painfully. He used donor DNA. My heartbeat stopped. Donor. A stranger. Lucas squeezed my hand. The twins' biological father is the anonymous donor Mason secretly selected and forced into the protocol. I pressed my hand to my chest. No, that can't be. I would have known. I would have noticed the paperwork. I signed nothing. You did, Doctor, Reyes said softly. But the papers were switched. My stomach twisted. Switched? By who? Dr. Reyes didn't blink. Mason paid a clinic worker, a temporary employee, to swap pages in the packet. He inserted a consent form you didn't realize you were signing. I shook my head hard. I would have remembered that. You signed it inside a bundle of 6 documents, she said, all formatted the same, and the signature space was placed on a page that looked like insurance renewal. My breath hitched. He tricked me. He stole my body, my choice, my motherhood. Why? I whispered. Why would he do that? Dr. Reyes answered. Because his entire career, his entire family image, his entire life was built on the illusion that he was normal, fertile, complete, Lucas added, and he was terrified someone would find out the truth. So he needed the babies. He needed them to prove he wasn't broken. I stared at the wall, the ceiling, anything to stabilize the world turning upside down. So, I whispered, Mason knew from the beginning the babies weren't his? Lucas nodded. He didn't care. He just wanted them born. Wanted them under his control. Dr. Reyes inhaled slowly. When the DNA test confirmed what he already knew, he panicked. My throat tightened. Panicked? Why would he panic? Lucas looked down. Because the donor Mason chose wasn't random. My breath caught. What do you mean? Mason didn't pick the donor based on health, he said. He picked based on heritage. I frowned. I don't understand. Lucas took a deep breath. He chose a donor from a wealthy foreign lineage, a family with a massive inheritance pool, one that requires proof of biological descendants to release generational funds. I froze. He picked a donor, Lucas continued, whose children, your children, would legally qualify for millions in trust assets. My stomach turned. No, Mason wouldn't. He would, Lucas said firmly. And he did. Dr. Reyes added. He didn't want children. He wanted access. Your twins were his way into that inheritance pool. My breath shattered. And when he realized the clinic might reveal the DNA, that's when he tried to take them from you. I felt sick. All this time, he wasn't fighting for custody. He was fighting for money. Blood money. Stolen money. Money tied to the DNA of babies that weren't even his. Lucas added, and that's why he fought so hard today. Not because he loved them, but because he couldn't afford to lose them. I sobbed. Big, aching sobs that shook the hospital bed. Lucas wrapped his arms around me. You didn't do anything wrong, he whispered. You were manipulated, controlled, lied to. Dr. Reyes placed a hand on my shoulder. And now the court knows. I looked up, terrified. What do you mean the court knows? The lab notified the judge this morning, she said. The DNA findings are part of the emergency injunction. My heart pounded. So, what does that mean? It means Dr. Reyes said quietly. That Mason has no legal claim to the twins. Zero. Not even visitation. Lucas added, and once the criminal investigation is complete, he won't see daylight for a long time. I covered my face and cried until my ribs hurt. Everything Mason tried to destroy, my motherhood, my sanity, my truth, was finally turning against him. For the first time in months, I wasn't losing anymore. I was winning, but the victory hadn't sunk in yet. Because one question clawed at me. Then, who is the biological father? Dr. Reyes hesitated. Lucas looked stunned. Neither spoke. I whispered again. Who? Izzy. Dr. Reyes finally answered. We traced the donor, and you're not going to believe who Mason chose. The room went still. Even the machines seemed quieter, like the world was holding its breath. My voice barely came out. Dr. Reyes, who did Mason choose? She hesitated the way doctors do when the truth is heavy. The donor, she said slowly, is not a stranger, not random, not anonymous in the way you think. My heart quickened. Then who? She slid a paper toward me. A donor profile. Blurred name. Age. Medical history. Basic traits. But then, one line jumped out. Offered through private family program. Family. My chest tightened. What does that mean? What family? Lucas leaned forward, gripping the edge of my bed. Say it, he whispered. Dr. Reyes nodded. Mason chose a donor from his own family tree. The air left my lungs. His family? I'd expected a stranger. Not this. I whispered. Who exactly? From his family? Dr. Reyes turned the paper over. And there it was. Jacob Hartwell. Age, 29. Relation to Mason. First cousin. My breath broke. Mason's cousin? I whispered. Dr. Reyes nodded. Mason chose Jacob because the Hartwell family has a massive inheritance fund, a multi-generational estate program that only passes through biological descendants. Jacob is one of the direct heirs. My stomach twisted. So Mason used his cousin's DNA so the twins would qualify for the inheritance? Lucas answered, yes. If Jacob ever dies without children, and he has none, the entire estate shifts through his biological line. And Mason wanted to be the legal father, Dr. Reyes added, so he could control the assets tied to your twins. My whole body shook. I wasn't pregnant by a stranger. I was pregnant by Mason's cousin, a cousin I never even met, a cousin Mason kept completely hidden from me. I covered my mouth. So all this time, Mason didn't want a family with me. He wanted money. Lucas exhaled sharply. Yes, money, power, control, a legacy he didn't earn. I felt sick. He planned this from the beginning, Lucas continued. Meeting you, marrying you, pushing you into fertility treatments, everything was a chess move. My chest tightened. But how did he hide all of this for so long? I whispered. Lucas said, because that's what he does. He doesn't love, he calculates. People aren't people to him. They're assets. I shook my head. I don't understand. Why didn't he just ask Jacob to father a child for him? Why do it behind my back? Lucas looked away. He didn't want anyone to know he was sterile. Not his family, not his cousin, no one. Dr. Reyes added, and Jacob had no idea his DNA was used. Mason paid the clinic to pull Jacob's stored donor sample from 5 years ago. Stored? From 5 years ago? I whispered. So Jacob donated before all this? Yes, she said. For unrelated medical research. But Mason bribed someone to access that file. My world flipped again. I looked at Dr. Reyes, trembling. Does Jacob know? She hesitated. He does now. My breath caught. What do you mean he does now? Lucas stepped closer. He's here. The room felt like it cracked in half. Here? I whispered. Lucas nodded. He was notified when the legal inquiry started. Because legally, he is the biological father of 2 newborns he didn't know existed. My heart pounded. What does he want? Lucas shrugged. Nothing bad. He just wanted to meet you. To understand what Mason did. I stared at my brother. Do I have to meet him? Right now? Like this? Lucas shook his head. No. Not unless you want to. but he asked to wait outside until you were stable. He said he won't push. Dr. Reyes added, and he specifically requested not to see the babies until you approve. I swallowed. Jacob Hartwell, the biological father of my twins, a man tricked into this the same way I was. I closed my eyes. What is he like? Lucas smiled sadly. Normal, polite, shocked out of his mind, and furious at Mason. That last part comforted me more than it should have. I exhaled shakily. I don't know if I'm ready to meet him. That's okay, Dr. Reyes said. You don't have to decide now. But I wasn't done with questions. What about Mason? I whispered. What happens next? Legally, I mean? Lucas leaned back, arms crossed. He's finished. Dr. Reyes nodded. The forged medical file, the clinic bribery, the custody fraud, each one is a felony. The court has ordered a criminal investigation. I felt my heart beat slow. For the first time, I wasn't afraid of Mason. Not anymore. Lucas added, the judge already issued a full restraining order. He can't come near you or the twins. A tear of relief slipped down my cheek. And the babies? I whispered. They stay with you. Lucas said firmly, only you. Dr. Reyes smiled gently. You're their mother. You are healthy, stable, and loving. You did everything right. You protected them, even when you were fighting alone. I wiped my face. I wasn't alone, I whispered. You came. Lucas squeezed my hand. I always will. A soft knock broke the moment. A nurse peeked in. Sorry to interrupt, but someone is waiting to see you. If you're up for it. My heart thudded. Jacob, I whispered. She nodded. He said he'll leave if you want. He just wanted to thank you for bringing 2 new lives into the world, even under impossible circumstances. My breath trembled. I turned to Lucas. What if he wants custody? Lucas shook his head. He doesn't. He told me clearly. He respects you. He feels sympathy for you, and he wants zero involvement you don't choose. A strange warmth spread across my chest. Not romantic. Not hopeful. Just relief. My voice cracked. Let him in. Lucas nodded to the nurse. The door opened wider, and a man stepped inside. Tall. Dark hair. Gentle eyes. A quiet, stunned expression. He removed his hat, held it in both hands, stood cautiously near the door as if afraid to overwhelm me. Hi, he said softly. I'm Jacob. I'm so sorry for everything Mason put you through. I stared at him. For a moment, no words would come. Then I whispered, Thank you for being here. He stepped closer. If you'll allow me, I'd like to help protect them. Not as a father, not as anything you don't want. Just as someone who wants to make sure Mason never hurts you again. My eyes filled with tears. Not fear. Not panic. Something else. Hope. And for the first time since the courtroom, I felt like my life wasn't falling apart. It was finally being rebuilt. Jacob stood near the door like a man walking through someone else's dream. Cautious, guilt-heavy, trying not to take up space he didn't earn. I didn't know what to say to the man whose DNA created the little lives fighting in the NICU, but his voice was gentle when he spoke again. I will follow your lead, he said softly. No pressure. No expectations. Just whatever makes you feel safe. Safe. That word had a new weight. For the first time in months, I didn't feel hunted, or cornered, or controlled. Jacob wasn't here to take anything. He was here to give something back. Information. Stability, protection, the exact opposite of what Mason had given me. Before I could answer, a loud commotion erupted in the hallway. Raised voices, footsteps, a radio crackling. Then a security guard sprinted past my door. Lucas stepped toward it instantly. What's going on? He demanded. A second guard appeared. We've detained him, the guard said breathlessly. He tried to bribe a NICU nurse to let him inside. My blood went cold. Mason. Even after everything, after the surgery, after the reversal order, after security warnings, he still tried. Lucas's jaw clenched. Where is he now? The guard wiped sweat from his forehead. Downstairs, police are taking him into custody. Jacob spoke quietly. What did he say? The guard hesitated, then looked at me. He kept shouting, Those babies are my ticket. She can't take this from me. My eyes stung. He didn't even call them his children. He called them a ticket. Money, power, legacy, status. That's all they ever were to him. The guard continued. He also yelled something about the donor and the inheritance, but that's for the detectives to sort out. Lucas moved closer to my bed. You don't have to worry about him anymore. He won't get within a mile of you again. For the first time, I believed that. A nurse entered gently, interrupting the tension. Sweetheart, the twins are stable enough now for you to see them. My breath caught. Both? She nodded with a warm smile. Both. I wiped my face with trembling hands. Jacob stepped back. I'll wait outside. This is your moment. Lucas kissed my forehead. I'm right here, always. The nurse wheeled my bed slowly toward the NICU. The hallways blurred, but the moment the doors opened, the world narrowed to 2 tiny incubators glowing under soft blue light. My babies. So small, so fragile, but alive. A nurse guided my hand through a clear opening. Touch her, she whispered. She's been waiting. I brushed my fingertip along my daughter's little palm. She curled around me with surprising strength. A sob escaped my chest. Then they guided me to my son. Stronger heartbeat, but smaller frame. A fighter. He kicked when I touched him, like he recognized me, like he knew I had fought to keep him alive. Lucas stood behind me, wiping his eyes. You did it, sis! No. We did. Me, Lucas, Dr. Reyes, the truth, and God himself. Jacob remained respectfully distant, hands in pockets, eyes soft. These two, he whispered, they're miracles. And for the first time, I felt a strange peace knowing the truth of their biology. They weren't a scandal. They weren't shame. They were life. Life I chose. Life I protected. Life I would raise with every ounce of strength in my body. 2 days later, while I was learning how to hold my babies through the incubator ports, a detective came to my room. He removed his hat respectfully. Ma'am, Mason Hartwell has been formally arrested and charged. I swallowed. What charges? He read from his folder. Medical fraud, child endangerment, document forgery, coercion, bribery, interference with a medical facility, and attempted parental kidnapping. And more pending. My chest loosened. How long will he? Years, the detective said. Possibly decades. When he left, Lucas let out a shaky breath. That's it, he whispered. He's gone. And in my heart I knew Mason may have stolen my choices once, but he would never steal my children. Not now. Not ever. A week later, the twins were moved into open cribs, no longer needing the incubators. Jacob visited quietly, always after asking permission. He brought no gifts, no expectations, only respect. One afternoon, he stepped beside the crib and said, I don't want to disrupt your life. I don't want to confuse the babies. But if there ever comes a day when they need medical history, identity records, or help, I want you to have everything. He handed me a sealed envelope. Inside, his full medical file, family health history, contact information, a notarized statement saying he relinquished any parental claims, and a trust fund registration form. I looked up sharply. I don't need money. He smiled gently. It's not for you. It's for them. It's something they're entitled to. Not because of Mason, but because they deserve every chance. My voice cracked. You're a good man. He shook his head. I'm just making right what was done wrong. Lucas teased him lightly. Careful, man. My sister doesn't need another hero. Jacob laughed softly. Trust me, I'm not trying to be one. He meant it, and that was exactly why I trusted him. When the twins were finally strong enough to go home, Lucas carried the car seats like they were made of glass. Jacob watched from a distance, hands in pockets. I'll leave you to your life, he said. But if you ever need anything at all, call me. I hugged him. Not for DNA, not for obligation, for gratitude. Thank you, I whispered. For being kind in a story full of cruelty. He nodded. Take care of them. And yourself. Then he walked away. Not with drama, not with pressure. Just quiet respect. 3 months later, the court officially terminated Mason's parental rights. The judge said, his actions were not of a father seeking to protect his children, but of a man attempting theft. Lucas squeezed my hand. "This is your fresh start," he whispered. And it was. A life without fear. A home where love was real. A future where my babies would know safety, not manipulation. Sometimes, late at night, when both of them sleep against my chest, two small, warm bodies breathing in sync, I whisper, "You were worth every fight." And I mean it. I didn't lose them. I didn't lose myself. I built a new life from the ashes Mason tried to bury me in. Lucas sits on my couch most evenings, feeding one baby while I burp the other. He always says the same thing. "You're stronger than you'll ever admit." Maybe I am, because I survived the courtroom. I survived Mason. I survived betrayal that should have broken me. But I didn't break. I rebuilt. And my children, mine alone, will grow up knowing a truth Mason never understood. Family isn't chosen by DNA. It's chosen by love. And we are finally free.